Guys, Black Scout Survival, and a lot of people are up in arms about Oliver Anthony. I'm going to pop it up on the screen and show you exactly why. So Oliver Anthony signs with UTA, and UTA manages some mega artists. And just so you know, for those living under a rock, who Oliver Anthony is, he is came to fame very quickly. I'll pop his photo up here so you know what he looks like. Came to fame very quickly. He's a singer-songwriter behind the polarizing breakout country single Rich Men North of Richmond, which topped numerous charts after debuting on his YouTube channel in August. He's the first artist in history to debut at #1 on the Billboard charts without previously having a song on the charts. Now, first off, to get started, I love to see a story where a guy makes it out of nowhere, okay? And, you know, come up stories. I love them. I've always been intrigued to hear them, you know, from various realms of entertainment or what have you. Guys who started out as a band, some teenagers in their garage, and they become international superstars, or bodybuilders lifting in a raggedy gym in between shifts and wind up competing in major events. You know, I loved hearing these type of stories. Oliver, first off, that's not his real name. He's actually Christopher Lunsford, but for ease of understanding, we're just going to say Oliver or Oliver Anthony. He started off on YouTube like a lot of people do. And YouTube, you know, obviously helps a lot of people reach their dreams. A lot of people have become very famous on various different platforms. So people have really gotten upset as he's turned down a bunch of record deals. We're talking like $8 million deals, and he's been very vocal about that. And so people are like, oh man, he's one of us. You know, he's working in a factory and then went on to become a salesman or something like that. And, you know, and he's singing about blue collar work. So a lot of people, you know, rallied behind him because he turned down all these big time record companies. And so you may say, well, the backlash, well, initially because he said he, you know, did not want to be part of anything like that. So he got a lot of backlash, but I think it started initially a few weeks back. Okay, so we got to back up and talk about this. So there's a Newsweek article here says basically that he lashed out at a troll because he defended The Rock. I'll put up the commentary for you. And he basically defended The Rock because The Rock comes on and says, "Great to connect with you, brother. Way to handle your fame and influence with class and kindness. Keep kicking ass and see you down the road," in a cheers glass. Oliver Anthony had a troll basically attack The Rock, and he calls him a troll. He said, "I haven't defended or supported the left. I am very clear in my songs and statements that I don't support either wing of the beast." So a lot of people, you know, were upset because they're like, why are you defending The Rock, who supported Joe Biden? Well, I think many assumed that Oliver Anthony is a conservative or Republican voter, but he's not ever specifically said that. He also made a video, and you can go watch it on his Instagram, where he's like sitting in his truck and he's laughing about that at the Republican primaries debate that they played his song there, and he's like, he laughed because he said, "I made this song about these people. I'm talking about these people, you know." So what you may be more seeing is maybe a libertarian mindset libertarian mindset, or maybe just the guy who classifies himself as a man and he's not affiliated with anything, you know, other than the struggles of people that work in factory jobs, and that was a complaint about paying taxes and things like that. I think we can all feel that, but I think some of this is unwarranted, um, because one, he just became famous very quickly. A lot of people, he probably doesn't have a PR rep. He probably doesn't really know what to say or do. So he posted this. He said, "This will be my last post about politics on social media. I apologize for beating a dead horse, but I just need to address this quote in my video earlier since it's been misquoted, misinterpreted this evening. Corporate news, big surprise, is now twisting it to me that I'm a Biden supporter. That song has nothing to do with Joe Biden. It's a lot bigger than Joe Biden," is referencing DeSantis' response to my song. He talks about needing to get Joe Biden out as if that would automatically solve all the problems. It would solve a lot of problems. Biden is a big part of the issue, but it runs much deeper. He said, Richmond, north of Richmond, is about corporate-owned DC politicians on both sides. Though Biden most certainly is a problem, the lyrics aren't exclusively knocking Biden. It's bigger and broader than that, and it's knocking the system collectively, including the corporate-owned conservative politicians that were on the stage that night. So I don't think you can disagree with that statement. I think he's right. So again, this is him posting about him being repped by UTA. Now he says he's only was signed by them for tour, but apparently that is not true. They have, per UTA, they have exclusive representation of Oliver Anthony. So that kind of goes against what he is saying. But I think that, a lot of people since 2020, I was talking to Mark from Centerline Systems and Jeremy that's on his podcast quite a bit. And we came up with BC and AD. So basically, before the coup, before 2020, life was normal, and then AD after Democrat, and now we are. So, but I think since 2020, people believe you have to choose a team. I mean, I'm under that assumption. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. But maybe he's just a guy who's fed up with both, and you can't really knock the guy from that. That's his freedom to do that. I think a lot of us been pushed to extremist views. I mean, I would almost say that I'm pushed to being far right in my ideology these days. Was I like that a few years ago? No, but it's like, man, you got to pick a team. We're in a war, and if you're sitting out there free floating as a free agent, you know what I mean? So I do agree with his statement, though, that there are corporate controlled puppets on both sides. And I think we're going to see that even coming into 2024, because primarily the Ukraine war and the funding, they're not going to let a Republican get into office and try to shut down that funding. But now Oliver said that, again, he hired him just for his concert tour. And I can understand that, because the infrastructure necessary to run something at that level could be hard. Could get you in a whole bunch of legal stuff you don't want to be involved in. I mean, he's just a country boy and doesn't know these ropes. You can get yourself into a very slippery slope. And when you're doing stuff like this, like, you need to be focusing on what it is you do and not the infrastructure of it to maintain what you're doing. I told this story years ago, but I'll quickly tell it again. I was working on a TV show. I was actually the host of the show. The show got canceled because of some legal stuff within the show, nothing to do with me. But anyway, I was because the type of guy I am, I saw that there was these two ladies. They were like, I don't remember what their titles were, but they're essentially, I guess you'd say, my gophers, because I'm the host, and these ladies got me. They're young girls, college age. I think they were interns, but pretty much they did everything for me. They got anything I needed, and so at the end of one of the shoots that day, it was very late at night, maybe 1 a.m. The whole crew's out there. I mean, maybe a couple hundred people, and the girls, and you got to understand, these girls were running across a field to bring me a protein shake if I want, whatever I wanted. They'd go get me food, whatever I wanted, and things like that. And I tried to be very nice and considerate of them, and I didn't ask them for anything. I tried to be because I'm just a normal guy. So anyway, I felt very thankful that they, treated me so well. But apparently, that's just what they do. That's their job. But anyway, I saw him picking up trash with trash bags, so I grabbed a trash bag too and started picking up trash. And the producer got extremely upset, and my manager was on set, and the producer like lit into my manager saying, "What is he doing? Stop him." And so she called me over there. She said, you can't help do stuff like that. And so anyway, so she said, just go sit down and relax, let him do the work. And so then a little while later, I saw the grips and stuff. They're packing up cameras, and they got these huge Pelican cases, and these two guys were struggling to get on a truck, and these are very expensive cameras. So I run over there and help push it up, where the producer sees it again, and he lights into my manager like no other. Like, I mean, he goes off the hinges, like threatening to fire her. And so, and she says, "Look, you're going to get me fired. Stop helping people. Your job is not to do, your job is to be on camera." So, anyway, and so I get that part, and I didn't know. I was probably oblivious to the world like Oliver Anthony was. And I wanted to be, you see somebody needing some help, you want to go help. But in that world is a completely different world. And when you're on the talent, they say they don't want you getting hurt or something where it could completely stop production. And I didn't see that big picture. I didn't know. I was ignorant. Maybe I was dumb. But I could have gotten, let's say that crate fell on me, broke my leg, then the whole show's over. Then all these people lost their jobs. So that's the thing. Me trying to be kind-hearted really could have backfired. So I get it. But anyway, so seeing him, obviously needing infrastructure backing, possibly because he could get himself into a lot of legal trouble. And you have to understand that maybe that's why he's doing it. We don't know a lot about the guy. Let's just get that out there too. We don't know a lot about the guy. We don't really know what he stands for, what he believes, other than what he is saying in songs and the few messages he's said on Instagram. So you don't really know what he truly believes in. So that's the other component to this. But again, I'm not knocking the guy for decisions he makes, because he's a man and it's a free country. You can do whatever you want to do, And so first off, I don't want anyone to think I'm sitting here and knocking the guy. I'm actually being very open minded about it. But I do want to shed some light, some positive and negative. When you look at UTA, the production company or record label he signed to, it looks to me they're extremely woke, but most people in Nashville, believe it or not, are woke. And so, I mean, they've got posts ranging from, and I'm going to try to show them if I can find them all, BLM. And I don't know if I got the BLM post here or not. I don't see it. Anyway, they've got, things from, let me just go down the list here. They've got UTA Proud, UTA Inclusion, and UTA Proud hosted Real Talk panel on International Day of Transgender Visibility. I can't see the date there, but I think this was just like posted recently. Then they've got, this as their profile, the LGBT trans flag. They've got congratulations to these 50 powerful LGBT players in Hollywood. The 2020 Pride list, recognize LGBT executives. Then talking about, I love that they're promoting Elliot Page, because I guess Elliot Page is part of, and if you know, Elliot Page is very outspoken trans, but she's part of the UTA, I guess a board member, and they represent her. So another one, they also, here's where it says that he's Oliver Anthony has signed again on the UTA. This is their post there. So, and then they also represent Jake Tapper from CNN. So you have a whole range of just wokeness within this company. Again, I think there's a lot of people that a lot of companies that are woke. Almost everything is woke. It's very hard. You could throw a rock and blindfold it and hit a woke company, but I think we have to be careful on these things, because virtue signaling is what a lot of people are doing. That's not what I'm trying to do at all whatsoever. That I read the comments are trying to virtue signal and slam the guy, but they're doing it on woke platforms themselves. This was on Facebook, this was on Instagram. I mean, these were very woke platforms, and they have profiles there uh, by these woke companies owned by big tech. So you're pretty much being a hypocrite by condemning the man for doing something that you're doing too. So again, we have to be very careful at that. I've gotten a lot of hate before too, just from even being on YouTube. People are like, "Oh man, you're on YouTube. You're part of the woke, blah 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 blah." So are you. You got a profile with them. You're part of their product. Their product is you. You know what I mean? Their numbers. You're helping their numbers. So again, people do this by virtue signaling, but to me, I call this a tactical strategy, because I believe using the commies' weapons against themselves. I can project my voice with their platform. I can state my opposing views on their platform. I can maybe change minds of other people on their platform, and they'll even pay me to do it. So, what better way than to use the enemy's own tools against them? Like, I think that's a very good strategy. And whether he's doing that or not, I don't know. But to quickly knock the man for being with this company, it would be hypocritical of all of us to say that. It's kind of like some guys say, "Hey, man, go to Rumble." I tried that. I tried Rumble. It's like going into a room and closing the door and talking to yourself is what being on Rumble's like. Literally, no one's there. And it's basically, if there is someone, there's an echo chamber of people that you brought there. So what good is it really doing? Is it really changing the tide? Are you really fighting the fight? So, we're trying to reach people and change the tide and make a real change to turn the ship around. I mean, that's the whole idea I think all of us should be doing. That's what we need to be using social media for. So I'm not condemning anyone for using social media. Use it, and use it to turn the ship around, right? But going back, like, to The Rock for a moment, I don't like The Rock. I used to like him a long time ago, but after he went extremely woke and, uh, you know, pulling for Joe Biden and stuff, and then the Maui stuff. I mean, I just don't like the guy, and I stopped liking him actually even before that, because he's the same character all the time, even when he's not in character. Have you noticed that? Like, every movie, he's the same character, and then when you see him outside of the movie, he's still playing the same character. And I've seen The Rock in person before. I was like 3 feet from him before, but he's always playing the same character, like even when he's not on TV or anything. So it's just weird. But the thing is that maybe Oliver Anthony can break through to some people, like The Rock. The Rock's obviously a fan of his. Maybe they can be awakened, because sometimes being in these positions, being in a special place, you can awaken some people. I've done it. I know I have, because I've talked to these people. I have celebrity friends. I've awakened some people I know for 100% fact, changed completely their mindset on life. And, I know he did a podcast with Rogan. And apparently, I know Rogan's short, but apparently Oliver Anthony is really tall by by this picture. But I didn't watch the podcast. Maybe some of you guys did, and you can clarify. But I do know that he read the Bible on Rogan. And if anybody needs the Bible read to them, it's Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan was extreme, like almost militant. I don't know if what he calls himself, atheist or whatever, but he's very militant against Christianity. And so the fact he had a guy in there reading the Bible, and I know he's been a little bit more uh, allowing people to talk religion and not be militant on his podcast, could be a breakthrough. He's a strong voice in the world. And if you look at Rogan, this is the example I gave the other day. He's a guy, #1 podcast in the world, who was more on the left and libertarian, whatever he wants to say himself, but he was a leftist. He was a socialist who was wanting to vote for Bernie Sanders, and he's completely changed over. And so all his followers, all his little socialist followers, are now still listening to him. They're like, "Oh man, maybe Rogan's right. We should be red pilled." So I think that don't be so quick to judge Oliver Anthony. Look, I want to be honest, because that's the type of guy. I would probably say I'm somewhat of a extremist. I became that way. I mean, the world has forced me that way. Was I that way before? No, but I'm very fierce on my ideology now. But I try to also maintain and understand that we live in a free country, and I can't push my ideologies. Whether I'm a Christian, so I mean, I'm going to obviously go by that before anything else. Um, but for me to try to push my beliefs on someone else is not right, and so we always have to keep ourselves in check on that. It's okay to state your opinion, but also to condemn someone they don't believe the same thing as you, unless they're a Democrat. Now, don't do it to them, because we have no common ground, right? But you need to be able to obviously speak, uh, you know, educated on what you believe in. I've seen so many times conservative gets in debates with Democrats and get eaten alive, right? Especially when it comes to the Second Amendment, they'll go in there. I've seen one of the politicians on that one show with the guy who was a comedian before, but now he's a political activist, Jon Stewart, and I think he did some comedy. But the congressman got eaten alive, right? He walked into a trap because he could not even defend the Second Amendment position. So again, we don't know what Oliver Anthony's contract said. So that's a big thing. To cast judgment on the guy and you have no idea what stipulations he may have put in place. Of course, yes, a woke company, but I mean, where do you get gas at? What shoes do you have on? Where do you get food from? Who's your internet provider? What TV shows do you watch? Do you watch football? You could go down the list. In some part of your life, you're probably supporting a woke company, whether you know it or not. It's kind of like when people say, "Oh man, I can't buy Chinese." Then you go to their house, and 95, just like every other American, 95% of the things you own is made in China, and that's no fault to you. That's fault to 30, 40 years ago, or our politicians sold us out to corporate America to increase profitability. They shut down American factories and moved it over. And now Americans cannot compete with China. They did that to us, right? And then you have situations where years ago, our med kit that we built and designed, the best one in the industry, by the way. I really wanted American made shears because the whole med kit is American made. There's only one company that makes American made medical shears, or at least there was during that time. I don't think there is anymore. So I got the shears made from them, and they were absolute dog shit. I'm serious. My friend, who's a good friend of mine, he was telling me he was in a medical class. He could not even cut through the jeans on the casualty. Couldn't cut through with the medical shear. Like, that's the whole purpose of them. So I had to throw them away. I mean, they're made in America, would not work. And then I went with, because we have a partnership with North American Rescue, their shears, which I think is made in Pakistan. And they're better quality shears. So, sometimes you just can't even do it, But again, back to Oliver Anthony, we don't know what is in the contract. So just be patient, not to cast judgment. You don't really know a lot about the guy anyway. You don't know what he thinks about the Second Amendment. You don't know what he thinks about immigration. You don't know what he thinks about abortion, unless he's said it and I just hadn't heard it. But there's a lot of things that's unknown, right? And so the one, I guess the big thing is that it's wait and see. Wait and see. I know he rose to stardom. A lot of people looked at him like he's going to be a hero to save us all because of his music. But if this gives him the ability to project his voice further and be heard more, then that's a good deal. That's a good deal. That's a win, right? Lane Coots must be entering the show late. The article on there says he's not signing record deals, that he's hired 2 men from Nashville. That's what he said. The UTA article I just showed the screen. That's why it's good to watch. It said that they have exclusive representation. That didn't say just the tour. I know that's what he said, and that's what I'm getting to. He said that. but the UTA said they have exclusive representation. Rewind the video and watch it. But again, we don't know where he stands on a lot of things. And whether you think he's sold out or not, let me remind you and be a daily reminder to you. No one is coming to save you. Not a politician, not a guy who sings songs, not a guy on YouTube. No one's coming to save you. You have to be your own hero and live your life that way. I would like to know what your thoughts are on the guy. Your thoughts on this. Does this make you not like him? Does this not bother you? You know, like I said, it would be hypocritical, I think, a lot for a lot of us to be able to cast judgment on him for what he's doing. You don't know his circumstance, you don't know his situation. And this may have been the best thing for him and his family, his life. And you can't knock a man for trying to do better. You know what I mean? And obviously, he's got a lot of talk going in the world, which is good. A lot of people, and I've seen leftists that do like him. And if you can resonate that with that song as a leftist, that means that you're at least maybe opening your mind. So anyway, I would like to know what your thoughts are on him. Did this bother you? Does it not bother you? I'm curious. And anyhow, guys, again, nobody's going to save you. So remember to stay frosty, stay strapped, always stay dangerous. Take care.